iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
Big girl now.
Well, we just found the clip today.
Funnily enough, yes.
We can let you use it if you'd like.
Laura and I were doing a concert together, and we saw that it was the 20th anniversary of Hairspray, and we were like, we should do
a concert.
The three of
us called Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now. And then we reached out, we did this
And it
video.
happened immediately.
No, we did a video. Well, first we called her. She didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, we tried to FaceTime her.
Don't listen. My advice to most people, don't just cold FaceTime people. Nobody wants a FaceTime that they don't know is coming. Anyways, continue.
We sent a video to her, and she didn't answer for a year.
Crickets.
I never saw it.
Crickets. And
if they didn't have evidence, I wouldn't believe it, to be honest.
Like, I guess it was like 6 months
Right.
later.
Not a year,
It was like 6 months later, and the same place that had hired us to do the concert, well, they wanted to hire Marissa the next year. So I said to her, would you be up for doing this concert?
And I said, I'll do it if you want to do it with me. And she said, well, what about Kerry? Maybe the three of us can do it. And I said, we should call it Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now.
Yes, and I said, listen,
literally not
you
what
never
happened.
responded to us. But after that, when
Then
we
it was
finally,
like, bam,
then
once we
after,
decided.
after
Once
Marissa,
I answered the phone,
Yes.
you couldn't slow me down.
yeah, she then became the train conductor.
Yeah,
so,
She was so excited.
So no, we initially were like, this is such a fun thing. It's almost like a variety show with the three of us, where we each have our sections about our lives and our careers, but we also have so much in common. We're all moms, and we started sort of the same in a lot of the similar ways. So.
Which is so interesting because when we put the show together, we literally just sat on Zoom and we were like, well, tell me, because we all had our solo shows, and we're like, what do you do? What's your story? And we were like, all our stories were, listen, we're around the same age. Laura's the youngest. But we were like, I sing that song. Or I'm like, well, I sing popular, but I hate singing pop. And Laura was in Wicked, so I'm like, oh my God, you do the popular. Like, I was like, it was so exciting because it was like, oh my God, I'm like, and I do a song from Little Shop. I have no interest in really doing it. And then I was like, Kerry originated the role in Little Shop. It was like all of the shows, like, and all of our stories really blended so seamlessly and effortlessly, and we just laughed and wrote a show.
Yeah. So, and we were touring this around, and the first concert we did, which was that one she didn't want to do by herself, was like 45 minutes with an intermission. And then the next one was 60 minutes. So we had to kind of trim from there and take the best ofs. And then the next one was 90 minutes and then add it back. So it's been this interesting sort of, what does the audience want from us? What do we love and not love? So we've had many different incarnations to get to where we are now. So we've taken the show out of town, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah, and literally we just had this amazing opportunity to get to do it at New World, and I wasn't taking no for an answer from either of these ladies next to me. I was like, we are doing this. This is what we're doing, and then we're going to tour it, and then it's a touring.
Marissa manifested.
I said it the first time we hung
like,
out.
Okay,
I said
Marissa.
I was like, we should do this show. It's like at New World Stages. Like that would be so fun. And they were like, okay, like literally. And then it happened. I am someone though. I do manifest.
I call her Bippity Boppity. Bippity Boppity Boo. If she puts her mind to something happening, it happens. So now I just like try to get out of the way.
But the best thing is having people with me who I respect so much, because I am like, I'm going to do this. And then I go steamroll everybody. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't have any support. So I'm like, oh, this isn't fun by myself. Or you're bringing people with you and they can't hold their weight. And for me, I'm like, I'm just happy being on stage with them every night. I'm happy hanging out with them. I'm happy having friends. I mean, for me, I don't have friends who are in the same world as I'm in, and to be working moms who also love theater, who started at the same place, like dealing with children, like my friends are not, that's not my crowd. So it's been so nice having supportive women who are like, oh yeah, that's really hard. Or yeah, your son's at tennis again. Have fun. That sucks, you know?
Yeah, but also did you see those new lyrics?
But also, I'm going to write about it. Yeah, Laura has written some amazing medleys for us.
About being a mom.
About being a mom and our childhood. And honestly, she's taking me complaining about tennis and all of our things
violin.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily complaining, but that's what happens.
I'm complaining.
You become glorified chauffeurs when you're parents.
But I will say with Hairspray, when I did it younger, obviously, I was like, oh, this is such a great show, and I love being Tracy Turnblad, and young girls would constantly be like, oh, you inspire me, But then having a child, oh, you inspire me. No. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, plus size role model. I get it. No, I'm just kidding. But now having a child and meeting all of his friends and growing up, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so important to have role models. Now, I'm not my son's role model, but his friends, I see that I'm like, oh my God, it's important for my son to see like a strong mom, like a strong woman, and I've gone to so many high schools that have done Hairspray, and I love watching Hairspray at the high schools because you're like, oh, that girl wouldn't have been the lead in the show. Like when I did Hairspray, I had done many high school shows, obviously, prior to Hairspray, but I was never, like when I did Grease, I wasn't Rizzo because I was like cute, chubby Marissa, so I didn't get the lead role. So now, because there's Hairspray, and I do think times have changed and people are more like, oh, anyone can play anything, but when we were doing it, that was the only role. Like, there were two roles that I could play, Jan or Tracy Turnblad. I did Jan in Grease. And I think it's changed so much. So as a mom, I'm just so happy to see that like young girls are being given opportunities that they wouldn't have gotten had Hairspray not happened in theater.
That's true. I mean, I will say when Hairspray was going on, and we do say it was just not in our purview to be parents. Yeah. I was 21 when the show opened, so it was my coming of age, if you will. This was my college. Yeah. Yeah. I had started doing the first reading at 19, and by the time I left the show, I was 22. So these people, these were like college years for me. Like, Kerry was already married, and we shared a dressing room, and I
lived vicariously through her.
Yeah, and I would come back with my stories. I met this guy at the Bowery Bar, who then became my boyfriend. I mean, it was just there was. We were young. We were young cast, and for a lot of us, it was the very first time we had originated roles in the ensemble as well, or they had their first Broadway shows, and it was fun. I mean, we took the show to Seattle. I think you missed out on this, Marissa, because you were taking care of yourself. But we all stayed at this place called the Home Sweet Homewood Suites, and let me just say, what happens in Seattle stays. Our motto was, God doesn't count Seattle. Like when you die, nobody looks back on Seattle, and that doesn't count. So we had fun. Clearly, children was not in the mix. I was still a child, and I was finally flexing my, my muscles of womanhood, and so.
It's so funny to think that you thought that then, because you were such a child. Like you were such like a
I definitely didn't think
but now knowing you as a woman, it's so funny to be like, I was flexing my muscles of womanhood when you were.
I was basically just going wild.
But you're still going wild.
But I didn't drink. I was like also still like a really good,
you were a very good girl.
I was like a good girl. I got exposed to a lot by
I would say that God wouldn't care about your Seattle. Like,
I will say, like, this cast and this experience was a lot of my firsts. Let me just put it that way.
Totally true.
Yeah, it was a lot of firsts for me, I have to say, all around. And Kerry knew all of them because she was the person I told every time I went to our dressing room. What about you, Kerry?
I think I love Hairspray. I think we knew how important it was when we were in it, and it's still so important for, like, I have an interracial family, and so just viewing it through that lens now, I love it so much. I mean, to get to do a show that's that much fun, but also has a really important social message was really so special.
Yeah, it was a perfect show.
Yeah.
It really was. And I think we knew it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we knew about the music. I just remember getting chills. Oh, thank you, Mom. I just remember getting chills, like listening to the music and even listening in the wings, like when the show was starting. There was just something about it. And then you add on top,
like the orchestration, right? You get chills like that, like da da da, and you're like, it's a perfect show.
Yeah, it has the comedy, it has the message, it has the heart, it has the camp, it has the color, it has the choreo, it had it all, and
And it was, and I would like to also say we weren't even a year out from September 11th, so we came into Broadway. We came in and we put on a show to basically, we were like Broadway, after September 11th, kind of like closed down. New York was obviously we're still,
recovering,
traumatized from it. But at that time, we opened not even a year after September 11th. So we were really, Hairspray was bringing joy back to New York. And I think people were really wanting just to laugh and feel good. But because of the message, you also didn't feel like, oh, I'm just watching a fun camp show. You're like, oh no, this is something like I want to bring my kid to and like let them know a little slice of history that you might not be learning in your history books because some things aren't taught the proper way, So it was we were like a joyful, so we were on everything. We were at the Macy's Day Parade. We did, I used to want to put it together, and be like, well, I'm like, hey, Mom, look at me now. Like, I'm on the Macy's Day Parade. Mom, I'm on the, at the Rockefeller Center. I'm on David Letterman. I'm on, I just wanted it because it would always be like the same thing. And it would just be like, it was insane. And for us, we were all just, it was so mainstream. Like, we were in Vogue. We were the beginning of Broadway being part of Vogue. Like Anna Wintour, her daughter, BB, is it BB or Anna Wintour's daughter? I
don't know.
B. That's it. It's just B. But she was obsessed with hairspray that I carried her. It was like bee spray for her birthday. And me and Matthew Morrison got in a car and carried her cake after the show. I was Vogue's Woman of the Year in 2004. That was great. I had never opened a Vogue. I was like, I'm on Entertainment Weekly. I've arrived. And my husband's like, they're asking you to be in Vogue. I'm like, but did you see this Entertainment Weekly piece? He's like, Marissa, you're in Vogue, So it was just it was so mainstream in a way that Broadway sometimes doesn't get to be.
That's right.
And it was at and I think it was because America and New York just wanted joy and to see themselves being reflected at what they were seeing.
And I will say, our show, we just went through COVID, and now we are all thinking all we want to do is spread joy. That's in our show. We're always like, okay, our main thing is we just want to make people happy. We want to bring people together.
Yeah, I've said that doing this show, because it's my first time doing a show in New York since I left Hairspray, because it's so daunting having to sing every day. But I literally was like, it's made me find my joy again, just being with them and singing with them and having fun. And we get super serious because we're perfectionists and we want everything to be perfect. And Laura, we got to get those props in the exact right spot. And and Kerry, we got to get our social media out there. We're gonna work really hard. But at the end of the day, we're so just kind of doing it ourselves. It feels like we're teenagers when we put on a show in your backyard with your best friends, and it's
teenagers or 10-year-olds.
Yeah. But it's made me find that inner joy of why I dreamt of doing musical theater when I was a kid, and I lost that until reconnecting with them. And it's made me I'm like, oh, I'm honoring that child who wanted to do this. Oh my God, she's been locked up in a closet somewhere, She's, shut up, don't sing now. Go back.
It's from inner child to Girls Gone Wild to motherhood.
And that's our show.
And that's our show.
That should be, I say we steal that.
Inner child to...
Girls,
she made it. It's
oh,
not
you
that we
wrote
have
it.
to steal
She just
it.
made it up.
I'm writing it down for you.
You go, we don't have to steal
Inner
it.
child to Girls Gone Wild to motherhood.
Whenever I'm like, oh, we need to say these words, and I'll say, Laura, it's all these words. Now make that work. And then someone will be like, we're putting together a brunch menu. And Laura's like, I'm driving my kid to school. I got to take out the sheep. My house is in renovations. And then she sends back literally a menu. And you're like, how did you do that fast, Laura?
I have to tell you, though, I love a pun.
Oh,
I love a pun. If you want the Mama, I'm a Big Mimosa now, I had so much fun, and it just came. That's my
that
favorite
brunch menu
thing to
was
do.
no joke, you guys. But in 5 minutes. But she's literally was. I'm a micromanager, and I'm someone who will do 20 things at once. And I've never met anyone that does 50 things at once and also micromanages also. Like literally we were painting the sets and I was like, I'm taking it on because she was doing too much. So I was like, I'm taking it on. I'm taking these sets. I'm going to just get it done. And then she literally she leaves me a voice memo. Now get yourself oh my God, I made you New York. What? Was that Southern?
Yeah, it was Southern.
Okay, good. Sorry. I wanted to make sure I was in Southern. She's like, now, I want you to get a sander, a hand sander, and you just sand it. And then I was like, I'm not getting a sander.
She was
Laura.
do more than that, too.
No,
wait.
I sent you a video. And then I said, I saw this on Instagram, and I think this is a really good way to paint the furniture. And then when I talked to you, I said, well, so make sure you get that primer.
Yes. Make sure you get the primer and you sand it.
And then you paint it. She's like, do you just want to do
No,
this?
I literally I said, Laura, I actually have a better idea. I'm just going to have them get to your house and you can take care of it because I can't do it for you. And she went, okay, don't be a bitch. I was like, okay, literally. I was crying the rest of the night. And I was like, and then what did I do when I got to the hardware store? I got a sander.
You did?
Of course I did.
I didn't know that.
I wasn't going to. I had to do what she said. Of course I got a sander. And the paint with the primer. I did it in one.
I was just...
No, but it's perfect. But I just, like, but this is, like, I've never met anyone, like, and we're all so crazy in our...
She would do that to me, for sure.
Oh, no, and then I did it to the person that I had do it. I was like, Chad, you got to use the primer, and you got to use the sander. No, I'm just kidding.
Marissa is very concerned with not hitting on the crew members because we're the bosses now.
Oh my God. So here's my problem. I always walk on a set, and my favorite thing, I'm married. I've been married for a friggin' 100 years. My favorite thing is coming on, and I'm like, what's the crew gonna look like? Because the crew is like, my husband is a fabulous, wonderful man.
He's very good looking.
No,
Yes,
of
he
course
is.
he's good looking. I know, I don't mean of course, but he's very handsome. He's very clean cut. He's
adorable.
He's very handsome. We've been together my whole life. But my type of man is a crew guy. Like, I like a rugged guy who's gonna who can hang a light and paint a stage. And, like, my husband literally calls the electrician to change our light bulbs. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. Once he went to the dealership, the car dealership, and he said, hi, my license plates came in. Can you help me get these on? And the dealer came out with a screwdriver and said, oh, okay, and he and I'm like, oh my God, I do all that. So I do, so now, as Kerry said, we walked on set the other day and I was like, oh no, we're the bosses. I can't harass any of them.
And she's constantly getting in trouble with HR, which is us.
Yeah. I love that. You guys are my HR. Are you
like,
filing the
you
paper?
can't say
But
that.
at first, during our first rehearsal at the house, you guys were my HR.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's true. Well, because here's the good news about Laura. No joke can go too far. Like, she will put a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat, and we take off one hat.
I like a dirty joke. I like an inappropriate joke. And no, we can't make those anymore after 2017. And that's good in a lot of ways.
And that's
Good.
but it really
Comedy
is.
does hurt a little.
It's really taking a dagger to some comedy.
But I will say your inappropriate jokes aren't like we're
No,
not.
no,
I'm not
no.
like
I'm
we're
not
just,
that bad.
She's not that bad, and they're not that inappropriate.
But things still make me laugh.
And we also are. We do want. My dream audience member is the mom who came and saw us when she was 20 and now she's bringing her teenage daughter. You know what I mean? Or like my dream audience member is someone who's like wants to share this.
Or her 5-year-old.
Or her 5. So the inappropriate jokes, we have to be a little careful with Laura. And Laura, by the way, Laura's an improv queen, so we don't even know what she's gonna do sometimes, so we're just waiting.
Yeah, I just hear, if you go way too, like yesterday I said to Kerry's
yeah.
oh no.
She went, Laura said a new joke and Kerry just went, no, oh no. And we were like, that's what happens when you were, because Kerry had a different job last week and Laura and I were just like workshopping some new things and we were like, ooh, she shouldn't leave us alone this long because we don't edit each other.
Anyway, we also rattle on. So what's your next question?
Yes, there is audience
Yes,
interaction.
and
Yes, it's variety, but also it does have a story.
It does have a storyline. It's our evolution. Our our origin story to Hairspray, how we met each other, our first impressions of each other, a little bit of Hairspray.
I think the surprising thing for people is how touching it is.
Yeah.
Like how much heart there is actually.
Yes.
Like it's like you're laughing. This is what we hear from people. And then suddenly they're bawling crying.
Yeah.
Not
and
in a
that's
good
just
way,
Laura.
in a good way.
And that's Laura.
Oh yes, Laura cries.
Laura cries in every
rehearsal.
show and rehearsal.
Every
and
rehearsal.
And like, if honestly, if I just started talking about our show right now and that moment, she would start to cry. It's so funny. I'll be singing straight at her and I'm like, that bitch is crying right now. I'm like, oh my God, and I feel nothing always. And then every once in a while, they'll see me and I'm like, I can't talk. I'm totally choked up.
Yeah, you don't not.
And
you
when
don't feel nothing.
And then when I get choked up, I'm like, I can't come back because it's so
yes,
not my.
Yes, that happened during
Yeah.
the show when her son was there. It was the first time he saw her perform.
I'm like, right now. Oh my God, I'm so emotional.
The first time he ever saw her perform.
My son turned 16 and he'd never seen me on stage because, I mean, he was 4 months old when I closed Hairspray, when I came back and closed the show. And he's never seen me on stage because why would he? That's kind of not been my life lately for 16 years once I had a child and I no longer could. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I joke with him. I'm like, one day I'm going to go back to Broadway. And he's like, go back to Broadway. Like, that used to be our like running joke, I hope. Anyways, he came and saw the show. And at one point I talk about my journey into having him and because I had cancer and how difficult that was. And literally he was in the audience and I couldn't breathe. Like I was like, and
she couldn't get the words out.
I couldn't
It
get the
was
word.
so
And I'm,
heartbreaking.
yeah, it was like, I'm like, oh my God, and I'm like, even right now thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, it was so hard to have him. And then it was like, there he was, watching me on stage. It was really, really, really special.
Yeah.
And now it's like all I think about, like, I'm like crying. But like, my God, I hate you guys. I felt nothing for 16 years, and now you guys are back in my life, and I feel again.
It's my sentimentality rubbing
Oh my God,
on.
it's like I'm the Grinch, and my heart grew like 4 sizes when I started working with you two.
Oh.
Yeah, but our show, it's the good news about our show is, and I always say this to when talking about why you should come see our show. We're not breaking the mold. You're gonna get to see what you want. If you want Laura to sing something from Legally Blonde, she's singing something from Legally Blonde. You want Kerry to be singing from Beetlejuice. Like we're not saying like, oh, this is a song I always wish I got to sing. We're singing the music you want us to sing, but through storytelling, it's not just like I'm standing there singing it for no reason. Like,
Yes,
and
like you said, you asked about audience interaction. Yeah. There is audience interaction. There's a special moment in the show, our missing link moment.
Yeah. So I'm not going to sing I Can Hear the Bells without a link, right? So we've been in every city. And here's the funniest thing about that. I'm the person in the audience, if they're like, we need someone from the audience, who literally, like, I shrink under my seat. It gives me, like, hives, audience participation. And I said to them, like, day 2 of rehearsal, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to bring up somebody to play Link every night. And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm telling you this idea because this is literally my nightmare. And it's been like so much fun because we get an audience member. I've had like grandpas. We've had teenage girls. It's, gender fluid. It doesn't matter because it's just freeze. And I like dance around you and sing like I Can Hear the Bells to you. And it's come off as a really fun,
moment.
Lover.
And we're working on potentially some other audience participation things that might be different every show. So like,
did you not tell me about this? Or
it's about you. That's we pitched her an idea.
Karaoke.
We're trying to get it. It hasn't passed legal yet.
Yeah.
But once we get through legal, and legal means us doing legal work.
So Kerry's been in
12 Broadway
shows. So it's been really hard to figure out which song she's getting. Like, she's literally leaving like 8 shows out of this show. So we have a potential moment where
we want to.
Where it's different every night.
That's exactly right. With all the shows she's on, wouldn't you love that as an audience member? So we're trying to make that happen.
And it's karaoke.
I love that. She came up with that this morning. She goes, it's karaoke.
That actually was my nickname in college.
Of course it was.
Yes.
Oh.
Because I love karaoke. But I always try and sound bad.
Okay.
Because that's the fun part.
What is your karaoke song?
Oh, so glad that you asked.
No, it's not possible.
It's actually probably I Will Survive.
Uh-huh.
Or B-52s, Tin Roof, Rusted.
Yeah.
Love Shack,
Baby Love Shack. Love Shack.
I've never
Baby
done
Love
karaoke
Shack.
once in my life. I'll never win. I always say I'm going to learn a song so that I can do
now
it.
you've heard it here.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take you
We're
out,
taking
do a
Marissa-
TikTok,
We're
Marissa
gonna-
going to karaoke.
We're going to
Never.
take her to with the Korean down in the Koreatown where they have you can get the booths and order the food, and it will
Yeah,
have
so
our own
fun.
private karaoke.
If anyone wants to sponsor us, please
I'm
do.
going to just sing country songs the whole
And
time.
I'll just do Cyndi Lauper.
Perfect.
That I'll do. I'll do Cyndi Lauper.
I mean, Amber would be like
An
a real
influencer?
an influencer who is a real housewife of Baltimore.
Yes, she would.
Right?
Oh my God.
She
that's
would have
so
turned
good.
into like Velma, but she kind of came around a little bit. So she's working on being thoughtful.
I feel like Penny and Tracy would be total activists.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always was like, she definitely went into politics in a way,
Yes.
but like working like in the grassroots, like door knocking.
And
like,
Penny just does whatever you tell her.
but Penny believes it and loves
yes,
it too.
Of course.
Yeah, and
but she
Penny-
waits for you to tell her what to do.
Yeah.
She's
She's
Penny
like,
have like 4 kids.
oh yeah. Tracy didn't have children. No, she definitely had children. I don't
think,
know,
like, a daughter
It's
or-
so funny because I like don't think Tracy had a kid. I think she
actually
like
don't think Tracy had a kid.
I don't think so
I don't
either.
think
She was
Tracy
too busy
She was
doing
too
activism
busy.
work.
Yeah. I
that
love
question.
that. Yeah. I think that she's like a great aunt to all of Penny's children. And I think that Penny and Tracy binge watch you on the Housewives of Baltimore.
And make fun of you.
And make fun of me.
But we also like kind of want to see her again.
Yeah, and then I kind of maybe repost your activism stuff every once in a
I
while.
don't think I married Link. Do you think I did?
No.
I
don't think so either.
know.
I don't think so. I think that Link
I
wasn't
think you
smart
broke up
enough
with him.
for me.
Exactly.
I think that Link wasn't
I
smart enough for
agree.
Tracy.
I agree.
Like she'd want to talk politics, and he'd be like, "Yeah, babe," and you'd be like, "Oh no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
We have to save the world."
That's right.
Yeah,
I think maybe Amber married an older man who had power and money.
absolutely.
Yeah. Penny and Seaweed definitely got married.
Definitely got married. I think that
Everybody says it.
definitely got married, and I think that Amber maybe took your mother's like boyfriend. That's who she married.
Well, I think Amber's boats as an adult.
Oh,
I love
that's
that.
good. Oh, that actually, like a newscaster, like a really annoying newscaster who does local commercials.
Yes,
that's
that's
also
a good,
really good.
That's a good Amber job. That's a good one.
Oh my god.
I love that. You're definitely a camera like in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that real.
Yeah. Right. That's just Laura, guys.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.